Think your New Year's hangover is bad? Wait until you hear the entitlement hangover these people have. We've got 56 absolute lunatics calling 911 for the wildest reasons imaginable. We are talking about demanding police helicopters because a building blocked the fireworks, to demanding arrests just because the DJ skipped a song request. It is unhinged, it is hilarious, and it is totally real. Strap in, because the delusion is strong. Let's dive into the madness. 1. A frantic woman called emergency services 2 minutes before midnight because the hostess committed a federal crime. She claimed the home party had run dry of champagne right at the critical moment. The caller sounded hyperventilating while explaining that ringing in the new year with sparkling cider was a bad omen. She insisted officers bring emergency bottles immediately to prevent a spiritual disaster. The dispatcher tried to explain this was not a life or death emergency. The woman screamed that starting 2026 sober was an absolute tragedy that required intervention. She threatened to sue the host for emotional distress if the ball dropped without bubbles in her glass. 2. An intoxicated man dialed 911 from the middle of a thumping nightclub dance floor. He reported a theft in progress involving the disc jockey. The man had requested a specific anthem for the midnight drop, but the DJ ignored him. He told the operator that playing generic techno instead of his request was a violation of his rights. The music in the background was deafening as he demanded a squad car to arrest the DJ. He claimed the crowd was ready to riot over this musical injustice. The dispatcher advised him to leave the club if he was unhappy. He refused to leave until justice was served. 3. A human resources nightmare came to life when an office worker dialed 911. She was hiding under her desk while whispering about a crime in progress. The woman claimed that midnight had turned the break room into a den of sin. She reported that 2 co-workers were kissing under a plastic plant. The dispatcher asked if there was an emergency or violence. The caller insisted that unauthorized displays of affection violated company policy and moral laws. She wanted a SWAT team to separate the lovebirds immediately. The operator suggested she take it up with her boss on Monday. The woman hung up in disgust. 4. A wealthy man on a penthouse rooftop felt personally attacked by urban architecture. He called emergency services to report a visual obstruction of the highest order. The man screamed that a new skyscraper was blocking his direct line of sight to the city fireworks. He actually demanded that the police send up helicopters to divert the fireworks higher. He claimed his guests paid good money for a view and not a concrete wall. The dispatcher explained that the police cannot move buildings or redirect pyrotechnics. The man threatened to buy the police station and fire everyone. He was last heard yelling at the clouds. 5. A refined elderly woman at a hotel gala decided the entertainment was physically assaulting her. She called 911 from the ballroom while clutching her pearls. The woman insisted that the jazz band saxophone player was hitting notes that were illegal. She claimed the high-pitched solo was causing irreversible damage to her expensive hearing aids. She told the operator that this musical terrorism needed to stop before her eardrums exploded. The background noise sounded like a very standard smooth jazz song. The dispatcher advised her to step into the lobby. She refused to move because she had a prime seat near the buffet. 6. A nervous backyard host called the authorities on his own party guests. He was whispering frantically from inside his kitchen while looking out the window. The man reported that his friends were grilling steaks at 12:05 in the morning. He was convinced that cooking meat past midnight required a special government permit. He begged the police to come and stop the unauthorized grilling before he got fined. The dispatcher assured him that late-night barbecue is perfectly legal. The man refused to believe it. He insisted that the smoke looked suspicious. He ended the call to go pour water on the charcoal grill. 7. A furious street party attendee dialed emergency services over a microphone dispute. He was slurring his words while standing in the middle of a crowded block party. The man shouted that a woman in a sequin dress had been singing for 20 minutes straight. He claimed she was hogging the karaoke machine and refusing to share the spotlight. He demanded an officer come down and arrest her for theft of public entertainment. The dispatcher told him to wait, his turn like an adult. The man argued that his rendition of classic rock was essential for the crowd. He hung up to try and tackle the singer. 8. A panicked bar crawler called for a search and rescue mission downtown. She was crying hysterically because her group had lost their friend named Kevin. The woman told the police that finding him would be incredibly easy for them. She described him as a white male wearing a cardboard hat that said 2026. The dispatcher paused before explaining that 50,000 people were wearing that exact same hat. The caller insisted that Kevin wore it differently and with more style. She demanded the police check every bar in the city. She stayed on the line describing his shoes until the operator had to disconnect. 9. A terrified yacht owner dialed the Coast Guard on a satellite phone. He was convinced that his vessel was about to capsize in the harbor. The man reported that the waves were becoming violent and dangerously high. He screamed that nature was attacking his luxury boat. The operator asked about the weather conditions in the area. The man admitted the water outside was calm, but the dance floor was shaking. He realized his guests jumping to pop music was causing the wobble. He still demanded a rescue boat to stabilize his yacht. He claimed the champagne tower was at risk of falling over. 10. An angry gambler called 911 from the floor of a busy casino. He was shouting over the sound of ringing bells and digital noises. The man claimed the casino manager flipped a switch right at midnight. He insisted the slot machines were rigged to pay out less money in the new year. He told the police he had lost $20 in 5 minutes, which was statistically impossible. The dispatcher explained that gambling involves losing money. The man refused to listen to reason. He demanded a forensic team come inspect the microchips. He accused the machine of stealing his lucky aura. 11. An impatient man at an upscale bistro dialed 911 in a fit of rage. He claimed the waitstaff was actively sabotaging his New Year's celebration. He was watching the servers pour the complimentary champagne for the midnight toast. He told the dispatcher they were moving in slow motion on purpose to mock him. He calculated that at their current speed his glass would be empty when the ball dropped. He demanded officers arrive immediately to force the waiters to pour faster. The dispatcher explained this was a service issue. The man screamed that missing the toast was a breach of contract. He wanted the waiter arrested for negligence. 12. A horrified woman called the police to report a neighborhood indecency. She was looking out her bedroom window at the house across the street. She told the operator that the window blinds were down, but the shadows were visible. She described the silhouettes as aggressively twerking in a way that offended her soul. She claimed this shadow dancing was polluting the minds of anyone driving by. The dispatcher asked if they were naked. The woman admitted she could not tell, but the shapes were suggestive. She insisted a patrol car go tell them to dance like civilized people. She stayed on the line describing the hip movements. 13. A nightclub bouncer called emergency services on his own line of customers. He sounded incredibly stressed while shouting over bass-heavy music. He reported that 3 teenagers were trying to cut the line 5 minutes before midnight. He told the dispatcher that these line jumpers were threatening the structural integrity of the countdown. He believed that if the line order was disturbed, the whole night would collapse into anarchy. The operator told him to just deny them entry. The bouncer refused to handle it alone. He demanded backup because the sanctity of the velvet rope was at stake. He treated the guest list like a sacred document. 14. A remote employee dialed 911 from his home, office in his pajamas. He was watching his company party on a laptop screen. He reported a cybercrime involving the video conference connection. He screamed that the stream was lagging right as the boss started his speech. He missed the punchline of a joke and felt emotionally damaged. He demanded the police contact the internet provider to boost the signal. The dispatcher explained they could not fix Wi-Fi issues. The man insisted this was workplace exclusion. He threatened to sue the city for poor infrastructure. He was crying because he could not see who was eating the cake. 15. A rooftop party host called the authorities in a state of absolute panic. He had accidentally let go of a large bundle of helium balloons. He told the operator that 50 gold balloons were currently floating toward the clouds. He claimed they were escaping and would litter the beautiful city skyline. He wanted the Air Force or a police drone to shoot them down immediately. The dispatcher paused before asking if this was a joke. The man was deadly serious about retrieving his decorations. He was worried a bird would choke and he would be liable. He demanded an aerial interception before they reached the stratosphere. 16. A grumpy hotel guest called the police from the 14th floor. He reported that the building was under attack from within. He claimed the ballroom party downstairs was using military-grade weaponry. The man insisted that the confetti cannons were so powerful they were shaking his bed. He told the operator that paper squares were somehow defying gravity and entering his vents. He demanded a bomb squad come inspect the party equipment. The dispatcher explained it was just a celebration. The man refused to accept that explanation. He screamed that he was trying to sleep through the new year. He wanted the gala shut down for disturbing the peace. 17. A concerned citizen called 911 from his own backyard fire pit. He was watching his family play with sparklers near the fence. He told the dispatcher that the sparks were far too bright and dangerous. He believed the intensity of the light was blinding drivers on the road nearby. He requested a traffic officer to come divert cars away from his house. The operator asked if there was an actual accident. The man said no, but the potential for disaster was high. He claimed the sparklers were defective industrial torches. He wanted the manufacturer arrested for selling such powerful items. He was wearing sunglasses at midnight. 18. An overwhelmed block party organizer called for immediate crowd control. She was hiding behind a folding table while people danced around her. She told the police that she only invited 50 people, but 200 showed up. She claimed this was a trespassing emergency of the highest degree. She demanded officers come and check everyone's invitation at the barricade. The dispatcher asked if people were being violent. The woman said they were just eating all the potato salad. She felt her reputation was at stake if the food ran out. She wanted the police to act as private security bouncers. She was screaming at strangers to put down the chips. 19. A confused bar owner dialed emergency services regarding a financial crisis. He was standing behind the counter watching people throw cash. He reported that the patrons were too happy and were over-tipping his staff. He claimed the register drawer was jammed because there was too much money. He feared this generosity would cause a tax auditing nightmare. He wanted the police to come and tell customers to stop giving tips. The dispatcher laughed and said, "Receiving money is not a crime." The owner insisted it was suspicious behavior. He thought everyone was part of a money laundering scheme. He was panicked about counting all the cash by himself. 20. An irritated passenger on a luxury cruise ship called the Coast Guard. She was standing on her private balcony, covering her ears. She reported that the captain had lost his mind at exactly midnight. She screamed that the ship horn was blowing for a full minute. She claimed this was unnecessary noise pollution that ruined her meditation. She demanded the Coast Guard board the ship and silence the captain. The operator explained that ships always blow horns at New Year's. The woman argued that she paid for peace and quiet. She wanted a refund for the audio assault. She threatened to jump into a lifeboat to escape the celebration. 21. A distressed high roller dialed 911 from the VIP section of a casino. He was holding a glass of champagne but was shaking with anger. The man reported a fraudulent activity committed by the waitstaff. He claimed the toast glasses were made of high-grade plastic instead of crystal. He screamed that drinking from plastic was a health hazard to his lips. He demanded the police shut down the casino for false advertising. The dispatcher tried to explain that this was not a police matter. The man insisted it was a breach of luxury laws. He threatened to fly his helicopter to the police station. He refused to sip his drink until justice was served. 22. A panicked guest at a mansion party called authorities about a food emergency. She was hiding in the pantry, whispering into her phone. The woman reported that the catering staff was running dangerously low on caviar. She claimed this shortage was a violation of health codes and human rights. She believed the guests would riot if they were forced to eat shrimp. She demanded a police escort to the nearest gourmet market. The dispatcher asked if anyone was starving or injured. The woman screamed that social starvation was imminent. She wanted the caterer arrested for poor planning. She was seen hoarding the last tin of fish eggs. 23. A furious woman in a nightclub VIP booth called the police on the bouncers. She was standing on a velvet sofa pointing at strangers. She reported a security breach involving unauthorized personnel. The woman claimed that commoners without wristbands had infiltrated her bottle service area. She screamed that their cheap perfume was contaminating her expensive air. She demanded a SWAT team to extract the intruders immediately. The dispatcher advised her to talk to the club manager. The woman refused to speak to civilians. She insisted that her status was being threatened by the presence of regular people. She threatened to call the mayor if the police did not arrive. 24. An office worker called 911 in tears during a secret Santa exchange. He was holding a wrapped box while sitting in the conference room. The man reported a theft of his dignity and joy. He claimed he gave a $50 gift card but received a whoopee cushion. He insisted that receiving an unwanted gag gift was a form of larceny. He wanted an officer to come and arrest his secret Santa for fraud. The dispatcher explained that bad gifts are not crimes. The man refused to accept that. He demanded a forensic investigation to find out who bought it. He was sobbing about the unfairness of the exchange. 25. A smoker on a rooftop party dialed emergency services to report an environmental hazard. He was standing near the edge of the building, coughing dramatically. The man reported that the wind was blowing cigarette smoke into the non-smoking zone. He claimed the weather was conspiring to make him break the law. He demanded the police contact the Weather Bureau to change the wind direction. The dispatcher asked if he was serious. The man insisted that he was a victim of atmospheric conditions. He wanted a ticket issued to the wind for non-compliance. He refused to put out his cigarette until the air currents obeyed him. 26. A terrified woman at a hotel gala called for a rescue team. She was standing in the center of the dance floor looking up. She reported that the balloon drop mechanism had malfunctioned. She claimed the net was stuck and trapping people in a cage of suspense. She believed the balloons would fall all at once and crush the guests. She demanded fire trucks with ladders to cut the net safely. The dispatcher explained balloons are light and harmless. The woman insisted the physics were different in a ballroom. She screamed that she was suffocating from the anticipation. She was wearing a hard hat she found in the kitchen. 27. A disgusted guest at a backyard potluck dialed 911 from under a tree. She was holding a paper plate and looking at the buffet table. The woman reported a culinary crime against tradition. She claimed someone had brought black-eyed peas that were not traditional. She insisted that eating the wrong legumes would curse her entire year. She demanded the police confiscate the dish before anyone tasted it. The dispatcher told her to just not eat them. The woman argued that the mere presence of the beans was dangerous. She wanted the cook interrogated for sabotage. She refused to enter the house until the beans were gone. 28. A motorist stuck in traffic called the police to report a dance uprising. He was sitting in his sedan, honking his horn rhythmically. The man reported an unauthorized flash mob was blocking the intersection. He claimed 20 people were dancing in perfect synchronization. He insisted this was a coordinated attack on his commute. He demanded the National Guard to disperse the dancers. The dispatcher asked if they were violent. The man said their choreography was aggressive and intimidating. He wanted them arrested for disturbing the flow of traffic. He admitted he was tapping his foot to the music. 29. A frantic bar crawl leader dialed 911 for a medical emergency. He was standing on a sidewalk, clutching a clipboard. The man reported that his friend's resolutions were already failing at 12:01. He claimed his friend had vowed to quit sugar, but just ate a donut. He insisted this was a sign of a mental breakdown. He demanded an ambulance to take his friend to a rehabilitation center. The dispatcher told him to calm down. The man screamed that the entire year was ruined by this failure. He wanted the donut shop shut down for enabling the addiction. He was trying to slap the pastry out of his friend's hand. 30. A concerned bartender on a private yacht called the Coast Guard on his radio. He was watching the guests open expensive bottles. The man reported that the passengers were shaking champagne bottles recreationally. He claimed the pressure inside the bottles was turning them into missiles. He believed a cork could puncture the hull of the ship. He demanded a tactical team to disarm the champagne. The operator asked if anyone was hurt. The man said not yet, but it was only a matter of time. He wanted the guests arrested for reckless endangerment of alcohol. He was hiding behind the bar wearing safety goggles. 31. A restaurant patron dialed 911 in a state of absolute disgust. He was watching a couple at the next table share a midnight kiss. He reported a biological hazard to the health department immediately. The man claimed that after kissing, they dipped their fingers into the shared appetizer plate. He insisted this cross-contamination was a Class 1 felony. He demanded a hazmat team to incinerate the spinach dip. The dispatcher asked if he was in immediate danger. The man screamed that airborne bacteria were attacking his table. He wanted the restaurant closed for facilitating public exchange of saliva. He was wearing a napkin as a mask. 32. A terrified woman called the police from a basement karaoke party. She was holding a wireless microphone and shaking uncontrollably. She reported that the audio equipment was possessed by evil spirits. She told the dispatcher that the feedback noise sounded exactly like human screams. She insisted that a ghost was trapped inside the speaker system. She demanded an exorcist or a SWAT team to shoot the machine. The operator explained it was just audio interference. The woman refused to believe science. She claimed the machine was mocking her singing voice. She was hiding behind a sofa while the speakers made loud screeching noises. 33. A confused man dialed emergency services from a techno nightclub. He was clutching his chest and staring at the ceiling. He reported a medical anomaly involving the lighting rig. The man claimed the strobe lights had forcibly synced with his heartbeat. He insisted that if the light stopped, his heart would stop beating. He demanded the police force the DJ to keep the lights on forever. The dispatcher advised him to step outside. The man refused to move because he feared cardiac arrest. He screamed that the light technician was now controlling his life force. He was checking his pulse to the beat of the music. 34. An anonymous caller whispered into the phone from an office supply closet. She identified herself only as a concerned human resources representative. She reported a severe violation of professional conduct on the dance floor. The caller claimed her boss was dancing in a way that violated several labor laws. She insisted his moves were so uncoordinated they created a hostile work environment. She demanded the police arrive to escort him off the floor. The dispatcher asked if he was hurting anyone. The woman said his rhythm was assaulting everyone's eyes. She wanted a restraining order against his hips. She was documenting the incident on official company forms. 35. A furious photographer called 911 from a luxury rooftop bar. He was holding a massive camera lens and yelling at guests. The man reported a crime against art and astronomy. He claimed the party string lights were ruining his long exposure shots. He insisted that light pollution was a federal offense on New Year's Eve. He demanded the police cut the power to the entire building immediately. The dispatcher explained that parties need lights for safety. The man screamed that his followers expected perfection. He wanted the guests arrested for glowing too brightly. He was trying to unscrew the bulbs by hand. 36. A panicked young man dialed emergency services from inside a hotel penthouse bathroom. He spoke in a hush voice to avoid detection. He reported that he was being held hostage by his own bad decisions. The man admitted he sneaked into an exclusive after-party, but was now trapped. He claimed the door handle was too expensive and complicated to operate. He demanded a rescue team to extract him before the security guards found him. The dispatcher asked if the door was actually locked. The man admitted he was just too scared to turn it. He wanted a helicopter extraction from the window. He was drinking tap water to survive. 37. A confused homeowner called the police while standing in his driveway. He was holding a video game controller and looking at his garage door. The man reported an unintentional gathering of unauthorized pedestrians. He claimed his outdoor projector showing the ball drop was attracting strangers like moths. He insisted that 20 people were standing on his lawn watching the wall. He demanded the police disperse the crowd so he could play video games. The dispatcher told him to just turn off the projector. The man refused because he had a high score to beat. He wanted the police to build a human wall around his property. 38. An angry woman called 911 from a street food festival. She was standing at the back of a very long line. She reported a starvation emergency affecting the general public. The woman claimed the taco truck was moving at a criminally slow pace. She insisted that waiting 30 minutes for nachos was a violation of the Geneva Convention. She demanded a police escort to the front of the line. The dispatcher asked if she was diabetic or ill. The woman screamed that she was just incredibly hungry. She wanted the food truck driver arrested for inefficiency. She was trying to bribe people with confetti. 39. A frustrated trivia host dialed emergency services from a local pub. He was hiding behind the speaker system while the crowd booed him. He reported a riot in progress regarding general knowledge. The man claimed the New Year trivia questions were too difficult for intoxicated people. He insisted the patrons were becoming violent over a geography question. He demanded the police send a negotiator to calm the angry scholars. The dispatcher told him to just ask easier questions. The man refused to compromise his academic integrity. He wanted the police to arrest anyone who didn't know the capital of Peru. He was shielding his answer sheet. 40. A theatrical cruise ship entertainer called the Coast Guard from backstage. He was wearing a sequin tuxedo and breathing heavily. He reported that the audience was out of control with happiness. The man claimed the passengers were participating too enthusiastically in his show. He insisted their clapping was throwing off his internal rhythm. He demanded the captain arrest the front row for stealing his thunder. The operator explained that applause is a good thing. The man screamed that they were singing louder than him. He wanted a restraining order against the entire dining hall. He refused to go back on stage until everyone was silent. 41. An anonymous security guard called 911 from the basement of a mega casino. He was whispering into a burner phone to avoid detection. He reported a dangerous anomaly on the blackjack tables. The man claimed a player was on a lucky streak that defied the laws of probability. He insisted this luck was causing a crowd surge that threatened the building structure. He demanded a SWAT team to remove the lucky player immediately. The dispatcher asked if the player was cheating. The guard admitted he was just winning too much. He wanted the police to confiscate the chips for safety reasons. He was watching the surveillance monitors in terror. 42. A stressed valet parking attendant dialed emergency services from a mansion driveway. He was surrounded by luxury vehicles and shouting. The man reported a traffic jam of epic proportions on private property. He claimed there were too many sports cars blocking the exit. He insisted that the net worth of the driveway was higher than the city budget. He demanded a police crane to move the Ferraris carefully. The dispatcher told him to ask the owners to move them. The man refused to touch the expensive paint. He wanted the police to declare a state of emergency for the driveway. He was crying on the hood of a Bentley. 43. A distraught coat check girl called the police from a nightclub cloakroom. She was buried under a pile of winter jackets. She reported a larceny of eyewear accessories. The woman claimed she had lost the claim ticket for a pair of 2026 glasses. She insisted the owner was going to murder her when he found out. She demanded a detective come and fingerprint every coat in the room. The dispatcher told her to just look in the pockets. The woman screamed that she could not violate customer privacy. She wanted the police to initiate a witness protection program for her. She was hyperventilating into a scarf. 44. A janitor called 911 from a corporate office building at 10 p.m. He was holding a broom and staring at the floor. The man reported a premature detonation of celebration materials. He claimed there was confetti everywhere before the party even ended. He insisted this was a premeditated attack on his cleaning schedule. He demanded the police arrest the party planners for littering. The dispatcher explained that mess is part of a party. The man refused to clean it up twice. He wanted a crime scene unit to tape off the break room. He was sweeping the same spot aggressively. 45. A yoga instructor dialed emergency services from a serene rooftop garden. She was sitting in the lotus position while holding her phone. She reported a sonic assault on her spiritual peace. The woman claimed the party music from the building next door was ruining her Zen intentions. She insisted that bass drops were disrupting her chakra alignment. She demanded the police silence the city so she could meditate into the new year. The dispatcher advised her to wear earplugs. The woman screamed that vibrations could not be blocked. She wanted the DJ arrested for spiritual harassment. She was chanting loudly into the phone. 46. A disappointed tourist called the police from his hotel balcony. He was looking at the sky with a pair of binoculars. The man reported a consumer fraud regarding pyrotechnics. He claimed the hotel fireworks show was significantly worse than the city show. He insisted he was promised a spectacle but received a few sparkles. He demanded the police force the hotel to launch more rockets. The dispatcher explained they cannot control firework budgets. The man screamed that his vacation was ruined by cheap explosions. He wanted a refund for his entire trip. He was booing the sky. 47. A neighbor called 911 on a backyard mechanic. He was looking over the fence at a garage. The man reported that his neighbor was tinkering with an engine during the countdown. He claimed the sound of a wrench hitting metal was drowning out the cheers. He insisted that fixing a car at midnight was a sign of insanity. He demanded the police confiscate the toolbox immediately. The dispatcher asked if the mechanic was being loud. The man said the clicking noise was psychological torture. He wanted the car impounded for disturbing the peace. He was throwing ice cubes at the garage door. 48. A tearful street performer dialed emergency services from a busy corner. He was dressed as a silver statue and holding a hat. The man reported a robbery amidst the celebration chaos. He claimed someone had stolen his tips jar while he was holding a pose. He insisted that staying in character prevented him from chasing the thief. He demanded the police review all street cameras to find the criminal. The dispatcher asked for a description. The man said he couldn't turn his head to see. He wanted a police escort for his next performance. He was breaking character to sob. 49. An outraged bar regular called the police from his favorite stool. He was staring at a glass of juice with betrayal in his eyes. The man reported a bait-and-switch operation by the bartender. He claimed the staff switched to non-alcoholic drinks after midnight without warning. He insisted this was a violation of his trust and his buzz. He demanded an officer come and taste the drink for evidence. The dispatcher explained that bars have the right to stop serving alcohol. The man screamed that sobriety was not on the menu. He wanted the bar license revoked for fraud. He was refusing to leave the stool. 50. A worried boat captain dialed the Coast Guard from a party yacht. He was holding the steering wheel with white knuckles. The man reported a navigational hazard caused by enthusiasm. He claimed the boat was drifting off course because everyone jumped at the same time. He insisted the collective force of the countdown pushed the vessel toward the docks. He demanded a tugboat to hold the yacht in place. The operator told him to just use the anchor. The man said the anchor was dragging on the seafloor. He wanted the Coast Guard to board and stop people from jumping. He was shouting orders that nobody was listening to. 51. A hungry gambler called 911 from the casino buffet line. He was holding an empty plate and pointing at the carving station. The man reported a supply chain disaster of the highest order. He claimed the prime rib roast ran out exactly at midnight. He insisted that starting the new year without beef was a sign of bad luck. He demanded the police force the chef to cook another cow immediately. The dispatcher explained that kitchens close eventually. The man screamed that he paid for all you can eat. He wanted the chef arrested for false advertising. He was trying to eat the garnish. 52. An emotional singer dialed emergency services from a restaurant stage. He was holding a microphone stand and wiping away tears. The man reported a hate crime against his artistic expression. He claimed the diners were heckling him during his rendition of Auld Lang Syne. He insisted that booing a holiday classic was a federal offense. He demanded officers remove the ungrateful audience from the venue. The dispatcher asked if he was physically harmed. The man said his ego was bruised beyond repair. He wanted the critics arrested for lack of taste. He refused to leave the stage until he got a standing ovation. 53. A terrified gamer called 911 from his living room floor. He was wearing a bulky virtual reality headset and crawling under a table. The man reported that he was under artillery fire from the sky. He claimed the virtual fireworks in the metaverse felt too real and scary. He insisted that digital explosions were causing him physical trauma. He demanded the cyber police turn off the simulation immediately. The dispatcher told him to just take off the headset. The man refused because he was afraid of shrapnel. He wanted a virtual ambulance to come save his avatar. He was screaming at pixels. 54. An exhausted nightclub owner dialed emergency services from his office. He was watching the security cameras with a tired expression. The man reported a trespassing situation involving 300 people. He claimed the patrons refused to leave after the last call toast. He insisted they were squatting on the dance floor illegally. He demanded the police turn on the ugly lights to scare them away. The dispatcher explained that closing time takes patience. The man screamed that he wanted to go home to his dog. He wanted the police to arrest anyone still holding a drink. He was flicking the main power switch on and off. 55. A hysterical woman called the police from a massive downtown street party. She was wearing a hazmat suit and holding a bottle of sanitizer. The woman reported a biological terror attack in progress. She claimed that everyone was hugging strangers at the stroke of midnight. She insisted this unauthorized touching was a potential pandemic risk for 2026. She demanded the police quarantine the entire city block immediately. The dispatcher told her to just go home. The woman screamed that germs were flying everywhere. She wanted the huggers arrested for biological warfare. She was spraying disinfectant on random people. 56. A disappointed man dialed 911 1 minute after midnight. He was sitting on a park bench looking at his watch. The man reported a consumer fraud regarding the new year itself. He claimed that 2026 felt exactly the same as 2025. He insisted that he was promised a fresh start but felt no different. He demanded the police contact the government to reset the timeline. The dispatcher explained that time is continuous. The man screamed that he wanted a refund on the year. He wanted the universe arrested for false advertising. He was trying to turn back time on his phone. And there you have it. Proof that for some people the emergency is literally just other people having fun. Seriously, calling 911 because of noise at midnight on New Year's? The audacity is outstanding. If these entitled meltdowns made you feel better about your own neighbors, smash that like button and subscribe to Complainix. Don't be a stranger. Ring that bell so you never miss a dose of the drama. Now I gotta know, what's the wildest Karen moment or party disaster you've ever witnessed? Spill the tea in the comments below. I'll see you in the next one.